tricked you, Barry! Back off!
Do you remember the pounding drums sounding when the battleship Ajax majestically advanced toward the palace in Flash Gordon? 1980? Truly so cool. The scene of the mystical sky that year was also no less wonderful, where Max von Sydow, in the role of Tyrant Ming, was solemnly conversing with Gordon on the palace in midair, offering a tempting royal position. Those were two eye-pleasing hours, a masterpiece molded from lucky things and from even extremely serious incidents. Did you notice the extremely bold costumes of Princess Aura or Dale Arden? You might not believe it, but behind them was a dark conspiracy of the producers, a sensitive trap that once made the actresses pay with blood. That is not even mentioning the story of an actor nearly dying right on the film set, or a wedding scene in the film so strange that it was permanently deleted. Before going into the 20 strangest facts of Flash Gordon 1980, do not forget to press the like, share and subscribe button to discover many more secrets behind legendary movies. Now we begin 20. The bloody, sexy dress hiding a cruel truth. Perhaps you have not been able to forget the image of Princess Aura and Dale Arden in tight outfits, showing off fiery curves in the middle of the galaxy. When I was a child, I only felt these characters were very beautiful, but how could I know that behind that beautiful image was an exchange of both blood and tears of women, to ensure the maximum sexy factor to attract male audiences? Producer Dino De Laurentiis extremely demanded that the costumes must be boldly cut and fit tightly to the actors' bodies. Even the hip part was cut as high as possible to create the feeling of endless long legs. These dresses were so ridiculous that they were attached with thousands of sharp glass beads and stiff metal, which are the enemies of movement and completely have no ability to stretch. This made actress Melody Anderson extremely miserable, because every time she moved or collided with a male co-star, these stones would directly cut into the flesh, making her constantly scratched and bleeding right on the film set. Even because the costumes were too tight, the chest part was frequently displaced, or the zipper slipped in action scenes, forcing the film crew to bluntly cut many scenes because they looked too weird and sensitive to be broadcast on television. 19. The pretender of the main character's voice for 40 years. I'm Flash Gordon, quarterback New York Jets. The proud self-introduction of the football player when facing Tyrant Ming became one of the most iconic moments of the movie. The moment he raised his voice, not only dramatic, but it also contained a spectacular trick that perhaps you also do not know yet. Everything started from the fiery confrontation between male lead Sam J. Jones and producer Dino De Laurentiis. Due to a peak salary conflict, Jones abandoned the project right on Christmas and flew straight home, leaving a movie that had not yet completed the sound part. For Dino, this was an unforgivable betrayal. He did not accept being led by the nose by a young actor, so he made a cruel decision, hiring actor Peter Marinker to secretly dub most of Flash's dialogues. The secret replacement of the voice not only denied half of Sam J. Jones's acting efforts, but was also a devastating professional stain, sending an underlying message about unprofessional work, causing Sam J. Jones's career in Hollywood to be nearly blacklisted immediately after. Even Sam J. Jones himself did not know the voice in the movie was not his until 2017, when the identity of the pretender was officially exposed in the documentary Life After Flash. The irony lies in the fact that Flash, our righteous hero, was completely robbed of his voice right when the masterpiece was released, while the audience still passionately listened for 40 long years without knowing they were being tricked. 18. The dark wedding scene nearly deleted forever. When watching the segment where the cruel tyrant Ming marries the beautiful Dale Arden, surely everyone is overwhelmed by a luxurious and most magnificent royal ceremony in the galaxy. Looking on the screen, everything seems magnificent, but in reality, this segment contains dark details to the point of nearly being completely deleted from the world. In fact, in Singapore and Ireland, authorities plan to ban the screening of the movie just because of a few short minutes of this ceremony. If you watch carefully and listen to each line of dialogue, you will understand why the censors had to turn red-faced with anger. Typical is when the priest asked Ming about not blasting Dale into space until he grew weary of her.
I do.
Ming coldly declared, "I do." This is a possessive vow treating women like a commodity with an expiration date, deeply colored with coercion and hidden violence lurking behind the cover of an official marriage. In the eyes of the censors at that time, Ming nonchalantly publicly declaring absolute ownership over Dale's body was too dark for a movie originally labeled for families. 17. Dino's madness in the emergency operating room. What would it be like on a beautiful day the male lead in your movie gets involved in a brawl and is very seriously injured in the face area? The way producer Dino De Laurentiis acted afterward will make your spine tingle because of the extreme cruelty and pragmatism. As soon as Sam J. Jones was taken for emergency treatment, Dino aggressively rushed straight into the operating room, despite all medical rules and the prevention of hospital staff. He stood close to the operating table eyes, staring fixedly at each stitch of the doctor who was sewing the wound for Sam. Dino did not ask a single sentence about the health status of the actor. Instead, he only continuously shouted and demanded the doctor to handle it very skillfully so as not to leave any scar on that face. The irony lies in the fact that Dino feared the money-making face of Flash Gordon would be damaged, affecting the sparkling frames on the pre-printed posters. Right in the middle of when Sam J. Jones was lying on the operating table in a painful state, Dino only stared at the tears in the flesh like checking a faulty item. Perhaps this is also one of the reasons that made the male lead fly home, even though the movie was not yet complete. 16. The horror named bird carcasses on the film set. Do you remember the image of the Hawkmen tribe spreading their wings majestically in fiery air battles? These are the brave warriors of Sky City, those who stood side by side with Flash Gordon to create the great overthrow against Tyrant Ming. No one told you the mechanical wings that the actors wore on their bodies weighed more than 18 kilograms and were designed fixedly with extremely rigid iron frames, making anyone who intentionally sat down have the iron wing stabbed directly into the back and spine, causing serious injury. Because of this cruel design, the actors completely could not rest in the usual way, but had to lie prostrate all over the film set floor for many hours between scenes, creating a strange scene like a giant field of bird carcasses. 15. The secret about the Dale Arden transformation scene, full of perversion. There is a scene that did not have time to be broadcast before being permanently deleted, which is the strange segment when Tyrant Ming uses illusions to transform Dale Arden into a giant spider to torture Flash Gordon's spirit. To implement this intention, experts spent a lot of dedication to apply full-body makeup for the actress extremely elaborately, creating a creature that both had human features and a horrifying spider form. However, right when reviewing the first raw footage, the censors and the production crew itself had to shudder because the result exceeded imagination. Instead of creating a common sci-fi horror feeling, the image of Spider Lady, Dale Arden was considered to carry heavy sensitive fetish and was too abnormal for an entertainment movie for the general public. Because of this deviation in the presentation idea, the producer decided to completely destroy all traces of the above sensitive segment to protect the image of the movie, making it become one of the darkest secrets ever buried on the film set of the 1980 masterpiece. 14. The free fall that nearly killed the Prince of the Skies. Surely anyone who is a fan of this masterpiece cannot forget Voltan, the majestic leader of the Hawkman tribe with giant iron wings. The image of him soaring in midair, shouting heroic commands, has become a part of the film's soul. But here's the horrific secret behind this character. Those glamorous iron wings were a death sentence hanging over the actor's head. During a high-altitude scene, the suspension cable system supporting the heavy wings suddenly snapped, causing Brian Bless to free fall straight down onto the hard studio floor from a height of over 6 meters. Can you imagine yourself clutching a block of iron weighing dozens of kilograms, and then falling straight from the second floor to the ground? This horrific fall almost killed the Prince of the Skies on the spot when the entire weight of the wings crushed his body upon impact. However, with a daring personality and a level of professionalism bordering on eccentric, Brian made the entire set tip their hats when he stood up, dusted himself off, and demanded to return to work immediately without needing any stunt double. 15. The shocking lawsuit that froze a superstar's career. It seems the conflict between male lead Sam J. Jones and producer Dino De Laurentiis did not just stop at Sam abandoning the crew before completing the sound part, but it actually piled up like a mountain, leading to a tragic ending behind the screen. After the movie was officially released, instead of finding a way to reconcile, Sam J. Jones decided to take Dino to court to sue over the producer not fulfilling the next 2 sequels as committed in the original contract. But unfortunately, this very action directly pushed Sam's career into a bottomless abyss. The lawsuit dragged on for many years, accompanied by harsh accusations that Sam had a star attitude, frequently quarreled, and lacked professionalism on set. The bad reputation of a lead actor who is too difficult to control and dared to provoke the most powerful producer of the time caused Hollywood moguls to blacklist him immediately. The consequence was that the career of the Flash Gordon star was frozen almost completely for over 30 years, turning him from a promising superstar into an actor who had to play obscure supporting roles in cheap B-movies to make a living. 12. The underground war between 2 cinema backgrounds on one frame. Not only did Sam and Dino have conflicts, but the internal film crew also fell into a deep division. On one side was the Italian production group led by Dino, those who always yearned to turn Flash Gordon into a dark, gritty, and tragic, epic work. Directly confronting them was the group of artists from the UK and the US who wanted the film to follow a humorous, vibrant, and light entertainment style true to the original comic book. This sharp mismatch caused the final film to have a very strange half-and-half tone, leaving the audience feeling quite confused while watching. Viewers could have just shuddered at the horrific, violent torture scenes in the bold Italian style, then in the very next second had to laugh in bewilderment at the ridiculous and colorful comedy skits of the British/American group. But luckily, this very contradiction turned Flash Gordon into a classic camp masterpiece. How about you do you like this forced mixture of the movie 11? Naive question. Who the hell is Queen? Do you remember the exploding powerful rock melodies every time Flash Gordon appeared on the screen? That is the soul of the movie, performed by the legendary band Queen. However, behind this perfect combination is a story that makes one cry and laugh about the out-of-place nature of producer Dino De Laurentiis. When his associates excitedly proposed inviting Queen to handle the film score, this powerful mogul innocently asked a question that made everyone freeze. Who is Queen? What band are they? It is hard to believe that at that time Queen was already a world-renowned monument. But to someone only used to classical symphonies like Dino, This name was completely unknown. He was only truly convinced and agreed to sign the contract after listening to a short musical segment with proud, roaring electric guitar sounds. It is thanks to this late enlightenment that the audience has the opportunity to enjoy one of the most classic soundtracks in cinema history. 10. The legendary jump born from an empty script. Surely anyone who has watched Flash Gordon 1980 cannot forget the excited celebratory jump of the male lead at the end of the film. The image of Flash jumping high into the air wearing a radiant smile on the background of Queen's fiery rock music has become a classic symbol of the sci-fi genre. To be honest, I find this a way of ending that could not be cooler. It brings a sense of complete victory and full of energy for the viewer after a breathtaking battle. And here is the shocking truth behind it, that Flash Jump was actually a quick improvisation arising from an empty script. When it came to the final filming day, the whole film crew was startled because the screenwriter had not written a single line about a specific ending. In the confusion of not knowing what to do to close the film grandiosely, the director made an impulsive request. Sam J. Jones should just jump high once and they would freeze the frame right there to end the movie. And just like that, a clumsy firefighting situation turned into a perfect closing act, creating a bold camp mark that the audience still mentions 40 years later. 9. Star Wars. The abandoned child from the failure of Flash Gordon. Few people know that if not for the blunt rejection by producer Dino De Laurentiis, perhaps the Star Wars legend would never have existed. Before starting to build his own galactic empire, George Lucas was originally a passionate fan of Flash Gordon and yearned to bring this hero to the big screen. However, when Lucas came to ask to buy the copyright, Dino straightly closed the door on the young director, making his dream vanish into thin air before it could even begin. It was Dino's headshake that pushed George Lucas into a dead end, forcing him to manually write a completely new space epic story named Star Wars. Only then, when seeing Star Wars create a global earthquake and earn huge profits, did Dino to wake up and hurriedly pour money into producing Flash Gordon to follow the then extremely flourishing sci-fi wave. 8. The Queen of England had a strange attitude toward the movie. How much do you love this movie? Do you go to sleep dreaming of spreading wings with the Hawkman tribe or imagining facing tyrant Ming directly? As for Queen Elizabeth II, the love for this masterpiece was expressed in an extremely special and formal way. Brian Blessed, the actor playing Voltan, revealed a secret that surprised the whole world. The respected monarch of the United Kingdom extremely loved Flash Gordon and considered this an indispensable spiritual dish every Christmas. Instead of formal epic movies or classical plays, the Queen often gathered with her grandchildren to re-watch Flash's adventure every Christmas Eve. The Queen even excitedly repeated the iconic line of character, "Voltan, Gordon's alive," with an extremely enthusiastic spirit. 7. The door slammed shut in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Can you imagine a version of Flash Gordon with rippling muscles and the characteristic voice of the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger? It sounds like an explosive combination, but in reality this dream was extinguished right from the start in a most blunt way. While actor Kurt Russell flatly refused the lead role because he thought the script was too silly and lacked depth, Arnold was at a completely opposite extreme as he extremely yearned to wear the costume of the hero of the skies. But unfortunately, producer Dino De Laurentiis was not moved in the slightest by the colossal physique of this bodybuilding king. The reason Dino gave to reject Arnold outright was that his English voice, thick with an Austrian accent, was too hard to hear and not suitable for the image of a glamorous American football player. It is ironic looking back at history because that very voice disparaged by Dino later became a valuable brand that helped Arnold dominate the global box office. 6. From a guy on a dating show to a space hero. Different from Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was rejected only because of his voice. Sam J. Jones's journey to this movie was strangely smooth, in a true job-chooses-person style. Can you believe it, mogul Dino De Laurentiis did not find Flash Gordon in prestigious acting academies or glamorous theater stages? In fact, this powerful producer accidentally chose Sam after seeing him appear in the reality television show The Dating Game. Hi? This choice by Dino made many people surprised because of its emotional and somewhat daring nature. He believed that the hot appearance of Sam, who was originally a model for Playgirl magazine at that time, was the perfect piece for the image of a masculine and charming football player. That very impulsive nod from a dating show turned Sam J. Jones from an anonymous guy into a symbol of an entire generation. Although there were many controversies about acting ability later on, it cannot be denied that Dino's sharp eyes created a strange but highly effective combination. 5. The water pipe bursting disaster and the scene not in the script. Perhaps you have not forgotten the scene of the ground on planet Mongo, suddenly becoming shimmering, reflecting mystical lights with pools of water overflowing under the characters' feet. Right? Looking at the movie, everyone thinks that was the artistic intent of the design team, to create a strange alien world, but in reality, it was the result of a technical disaster right at the studio. A horrific water pipe burst occurred, flooding the entire studio and destroying a series of expensive props in the blink of an eye. This incident originated from excessive water pressure in the old firefighting system of the studio being activated incorrectly, causing the main pipes to explode and pour thousands of liters of water onto the set. Instead of pausing production to fix the incident, the director made an extremely bold decision to film the scenes immediately in the flooded condition to save time and costs. Thanks to this daring planet, Mongo accidentally gained a unique visual effect, which makes the audience still remember it until now. 4. The extreme fear of the legend Max von Sydow. The image of Tyrant Ming once made me and many generations of viewers feel terrified because of the cold eyes and the cruelty radiating from every line of dialogue. However, there is a quite funny truth that the person playing this emperor himself, the legendary actor Max von Sydow, was the one living in extreme fear throughout the filming process. Originally a renowned star of the academic art film genre, Max was extremely afraid that participating in a vibrant and somewhat cheesy sci-fi movie like Flash Gordon would permanently ruin the prodigious reputation he had built over many decades. However, reality proved the complete opposite of what he feared. Instead of becoming a black mark, the role of Tyrant Ming was a brilliant success, helping him portray a classic villainous figure, both majestic and full of attraction, that few can replace in cinema history. 3. The eccentric appearance of the genius Richard O'Brien. In the mystical world of Planet Mongo, there is a supporting character named Fico, who always leaves a strong impression thanks to a quirky appearance and a style unlike anyone else. If you feel the acting style of this character is somewhat familiar, then that is right, it is Richard O'Brien, the genius brain behind the script of the classic The Rocky Horror Picture Show. His presence in the cast was not just a regular cameo role, but also brought a characteristic eccentric flavor, helping the world of Flash Gordon become more diverse and bizarre than ever. The appearance of a famous screenwriter and actor with a cult classic style like Richard in the movie created an interesting connection between fan communities of unique film genres. Despite only taking on a small role every time Richard appeared, he breathed into it a mystical and distinct life force, completely blending with the colorful nature of the 1980 masterpiece. 2. The life-changing switch from polo to football. Surely you are still impressed with the image of Flash Gordon in the t-shirt, of the New York Jets lunging among enemies with skillful tackles and ball throws like a true sports star. However, if being absolutely faithful to the original comic books of the 1930s, we might have seen a much more gentlemanly image. In the original version, Flash was originally a polo player, a noble sport usually for the upper class at that time. To make the movie closer and cooler to the taste of the 1980s audience, the filmmakers decided to perform a bold identity change. They turned him from a somewhat unfamiliar polo athlete into a football superstar, specifically the quarterback position of the illustrious New York Jets team. This change not only helped Flash become more rugged and stronger, but also created extremely eye-pleasing and highly entertaining combat situations on the screen. 1. The line that haunted Queen and the immortal song for Highlander. Do you know that one of the greatest rock love songs of all time by Queen had its origin from a powerful line in Flash Gordon? This is the first blockbuster movie in history that dared to play big by giving the entire musical soul to a rock band instead of traditional symphonic orchestras, which started precisely with the fiery moment of actor Brian Blessed. In the movie, the spirited line of the character Voltan, who wants to live forever, is believed to have haunted the mind of guitarist Brian May for a long time. 6 years later, those very haunting lyrics became the powerful inspiration for him to write the song of the same name for the movie Highlander. From a line with the nature of encouraging fighting spirit on planet Mongo, Brian May turned it into a haunting ballad about immortality and love, deeply engraved in the hearts of millions of fans. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next videos. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.